If you want to type a text, such as I love trading, for instance, on Python, that will never work. Because Python is considering 3 different variables. The question that you are going to ask me is, then, how it's possible to type a text in Python? In order to type a text, you need to specify to Python that is a text with a simple or double quotation mark. For instance, if we type Sam with a simple quotation mark, Python will consider it as a string. We can check if that's really a string by typing type and include Sam inside the parenthesis. You will see Python considering Sam as a string. By another side, if you remove the quotation mark, Python will spread an error because the variable Sam is not defined. We can also try by using a double quotation mark by this way and execute. Okay, as you can see, Python is considering that as a string. A last point before to go further on how to operate with string. If you want to print a string without having this quotation mark in the text, you can use the function print. What you're gonna have to do is to type print and include inside the parenthesis your string, either simple or double quotation mark. We are going to make the test. And as you can see, if you do it with simple quotation mark, Python is printing the string without the quotation mark. Okay, now you have seen the basics of string and the difference with a variable. For instance, if you want to type I love trading, which was our first try at the beginning, if you understood well the lesson, you have to insert quotation mark, and if you want to remove the quotation mark in the output, you have to use the function print. And as you can see, that has been printing as a text. Now that we have seen the foundation of the string, the principal concept, we are going to check how we can make an addition of different strings. Because as you may be aware, when you are going to type, you might have different text and some text which can even be stored in a variable. Because as you may be aware, in a variable you can store different types of data. You can store data frame, you can store integers, booleans, floats, you can store multiple type of data, and you can store a string as well. For instance, what we are going to do here, in the variable that we are going to call my name, you will store the value Sam, or you can define it with your own name. For instance, I can use Sajid, for instance. And now, each time that I'm going to call the variable my name, Sajid gonna be raised. And you can even do that, for instance, if you want to use that inside the text. What we are going to do is to make a quick debrief on operation with strings. Let's type operations, execute. What we'll do here is going to be your first string operation, which means that you will have to type, you will have to insert the variable my name inside a sentence which is going to be my name is Sajid. What will be the test here is to first of all type a text and add the variable my name. do it. My name is, and execute. As you can see, Python prints it as my name is Sajid. There is something that you must never forget when you want to make addition of string, is to either add a space at the end of your text or before your variable. Let's give it a try now. Perfect. You have just operate your first operation. You can, if you want to change your variable my name, and for instance substitute with James, for instance, you can execute, and now when you execute my name is plus my name plus the variable my name, you will have your name which is gonna be updated. That's why we are using operation. It's when you have different variables that you want to insert inside the process. You can always use this type of processes in order to have the right output. And otherwise, you have another way to make merging between two different strings. You can also do something similar to that, which means just a space. And if you have two strings, Python will directly recognize it as an addition. And if you give it a try with a variable, Python will not accept it. You can do that only if you have two different chain of characters. Now let's continue, and let's continue with how we can mix float and strings. I'm going to call this last part of this video float and strings. Which means we are going to make an operation between a float and a string, because what we have done here, we have just made an operation between a string and a string. For Python, that's pretty straightforward, but you will see that as soon as you introduce a float with it, that's going to create errors. Let's give it a try right now. For instance, if you want to insert in a variable that you are going to call money 200, and let's quickly check out what is the type of the variable money. The variable money is a float, because as you can see, that's a number. If you remove the zeros, it's going to be an integer. It's what we have seen in the previous video. And now, if we want to mix a text, a string, and a float, Python will raise an error. For instance, if we type my name, which is James here, has the amount that you want to specify, plus British pound. If we execute, you will see that Python is raising an error. The error is defined as can only concatenate string, not float to string. Which means here we have a string, we have a string, we have a float, and we have a string. That means that this float gonna need to be converted or concatenate to a string. Let's give it a try. Oh, sorry. And when we execute, right now that we converted money as a string, you can see that Python is able to execute the command. And here, if you look at it, we have a string, we have a string, we have a string, because money has been converted as a string with the command string, and you have a string at the end. If you want, for instance, to convert a string as a float, what you need to do, you need to just, instead of string, just type float. For instance, let's execute this one. can see that's a string, and if you want to have it as a float, again, you just have to execute this command, and that's a float. So, well done guys, well done for the work that you have achieved. We have just seen how to play with strings. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have any questions, feel free to ask in the Q&A. We can go even further if you want me to add an extra video on strings, but I don't want to spend more time on it because I want to spend more time on how to develop algorithmic trading, and the strings is not a main part of it. That's why I'm not going to spend as much time on strings, but what I wanted to cover here is how to be able to work with strings, the fact to differentiate strings and variable, how to make an addition between strings, and the fact to never forget to convert a float as a string if you want to avoid Python to crash. See you in the next video where we are going to go on a NumPy crash course. See you!